Welcome to the channel, viewers. There's a lot of people starting to ask me, and I've thought about this myself, what would be happening with your ex-partner's new supply? Well, what happened with you? They may not be going through the later parts of the trauma that you did, where all the family members are all over it. You've had enough of them, and you're not going down there, and they don't like you. Your vibration's wrong. You've got flying monkeys, and this person's gone into a semi-psychosis themselves because they haven't been able to work anything out. They know you're starting to collapse. This brings them into sort of a panic because people don't like to lose their relationships if they can help it. They know they're losing value because there's unresolved. All this stuff will be happening again. The adult children or family members will be, at first they'll be all for it because they've got rid of the old partner, mission successful. The parents groom them into seeing that they are capable of doing that. So they're training them to go through the same process again. Person might be received with a hello, or if depending on what their habits are and how much they coincide with these people, they might get greeted with some kind of false excitement. But it won't take long until the same old patterns develop. But this time the person will realise that it's going to be safer for them to keep the partner right out of and away from family members, because the family members will put on their act again, and they're not going to want the new partner to see how dependent the whole situation is, how dependent these people are on each other, because it's very dysfunctional and very embarrassing. Actually, I said to a couple of my last partners, aren't you embarrassed by the way these adults are displaying themselves? And they just said, I've never seen this before. But they had, because they groom them and condition them to make sure that they're dependent on the parent. This conditioning's been going on for years, possibly decades. They've completely disabled them in a way in which they have a guarantee that they're not going to get too far away. That's the family member side of it. But for the person themselves, the person, the ex, or whatever you want to call it, the narcissist, the ex, the borderline, I don't know, whatever you were dealing with, the addict, the alcoholic, the medication person. This is what's out there now. The emotional incestual person. There's so many. The cheater, the liar, the person that people are getting let down everywhere. For that person, their levels of introspection probably are towards their own martyrdom. They're unable to maintain the last relationship, so they'll be even more insecure in the next one. Their habits have probably increased. Their view of themselves is justified now as being worthless. They'll try and pick that up, but their nervous system will be running underneath the surface at a speed that it shouldn't be. There's possibly illnesses and things taking place inside the body that they're not aware of from the stress. Their mind will be damaged, and there will be some level of trauma going on due to the loss of the relationship and trying to come to terms with how it got so far, because just saying the other person was a bad person when that's not true is not going to be enough. So they'll be confronted with where they're at in life, particularly if they're over 25 and their life hasn't gone right, and they're really just sitting in a situation where they've wasted most of it and have nothing to show for it. Their children are usually going to be in debt, possibly addicts or of some kind or another, dependent on the parent. And this parent's going to be looking at the situation differently now. for in my cases, I come in as a blazing light. My vibration just, their children and things, they just couldn't cope with it. They couldn't cope with the discipline and the consistency and proficiency and successfulness. A couple of these people had psychological collapses, family members, and they brought trauma to the partner, which I just watched. I don't get involved in people's family business except my own. And so it's not what you think. There's going to be drama, trauma, sickness, illness, addictions, possibly religious fanaticism. They go fanatic if they're religious. There'll be martyrdom. They'll come in as the victim predator. This person will possibly buy into it. If not, if the ex gets rejected or used and abused a couple of times, that's not going to contribute anything positive to their life. Their children have learnt usually all their bad habits. Their relationships don't last unless they're manipulating people with drugs or alcohol and feeding them as such. There'll be a lot of cheating, a lot of lying up ahead. There'll be robberies and theft and abuse and sadness. It's not something you really want to take any notice of or be involved in. You've got to come back to yourself, get back to what matters, get back to your values and where you were before they come along. It's not going to be good for them. They're already damaged. They're already caused terrible trouble for themselves over the years. They haven't managed to be able to maintain a sensible, decent relationship. So that tells you that the next person's just going to be another object of supply while you build your life back to where it should be and learn how these people work, how they operate. And it's easy once you've got it figured, which I did years ago. You can give them tolerance and let them come into the light for a while and see it and experience it, and then just watch them go back into the dark, because they always do. You've got to sort of cut them off quick once you realise they can't figure stuff out. They don't know how to resolve things. They've got triangulation going on everywhere. They're blaming you for stuff you didn't do. They don't know how to use the power. They just waste everything. Move on, and I'm 4 months in now and I'm back to normal. So, comes down to what you do with your life, how self-introspective you are, what your life was like in the relationship, whether you lost your identity or not, which you're not supposed to, whether you maintained your levels of fitness and health or not, etc. And that's it. It is not going to be good for the new supply, and it's not going to be good for the ex, because the people just ain't out there. They'll be frustrated sexually. They'll be having nightmares about where you went and how they lost you. And they'll see all the stuff that they should have fixed years ago, but they can't now because it's become a part of the way of life within their family, which is complete dysfunction. But they'll get joy out of it at different points, and that's their business. But in the long run, they're just going to end up mental health issues, addictions, body ailments, and just enmeshed with each other, messed up. Hope that helps. This is Rev Dr. J.W. Morrison, theologist. It's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. Bye for now.